welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. This feels like a big one, so I brought out a big guest for it. Josh, from A View from the Stands, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Cloud9, as we've been saying to each other recently. Dreamland, all those sort of phrases. And you're right, it was a massive one this Saturday. I mean, every game's feeling massive at the moment, but this one, especially against the Toonie, it just feels massive, doesn't it, mate? It feels massive.
Yeah, it does. So if you are new to the channel, subscribe, drop this video a like, and get involved in the comment section down below. Drop your thoughts on how you are feeling ahead of Aston Villa v Newcastle United on Saturday at 12:30. So it is a big game, but like I've said before, it's great that you can go into this game now at the 30 game mark, 31 game mark, with still something to play for in your season. You know, the last few, it's been, can we survive? Can we just get to mid-table? But I was thinking before we came on that my thoughts of and my predictions going into this season was to finish about 8th. That was where I sort of wanted us to be. But now we're in and around 6th, 7th, 8th with a few games in hand to a couple of teams in and around us. For me, it's really important that we just try and go for this now where we are. You know, for me, my honest opinion is we've got to just go for it because, you know, I'll go back to what I think we're going to be predicting in the summer. What's everybody going to want us to achieve under Unai Emery next summer? And it's going to be for us to get into Europe. So while we're there now, while we've got that chance of potentially doing it, for me, we've got to just embrace it and just go for it. And hopefully we can do it. Where are you at with this little bit of expectation for us to want to try and get into Europe now?
I mean, so far, the players and Unai have risen to it. I think, like, you know, there is that sort of little bit of we've dangled a carrot in front of us and we're going to try and grab it now. It is for me, you know, I know you said about the start of the season, this was with Gerrard as well, mind. You know, I was more of I want to finish in the top 10, like anywhere in the top 10, realistically, like you, 8th. But now it's just there in front of us. And I feel like, and I'll come into sort of this probably a bit later, but we've had this miraculous rub of the green in the last couple of games, and I don't necessarily believe in luck, but I think you make your own fortune, and I think Villa have made their own fortune in some sort of weird way. And the last 3 games we've had that, and maybe it will happen again on Saturday, where the footballing gods, the European gods, the European, you know, excellence of this world want us to be back in Europe, and they're going to pave the way for us somehow. I don't know. I just got this weird feeling that there's someone up there in the footballing European gods who've just decided it's time to get Villa back to where they belong. So, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll with this pressure and expectation. I think the players are as well.
And the other thing is, it's not a failure if we don't get Europe this season, because we can't look at it and think that, oh no, now we've added that pressure, it is a failure that we don't do. I'm not saying that there's that much pressure for us to do it, but my point that I'm trying to make is, it's not going to be a negative if we don't get Europe, is what my main point is as well. So let's move on to the game then. This is for me a huge game of football, because we have got 2 teams that are completely banging form. Newcastle are on a 5-game winning streak. We're on this, is it 7? I think it's 7
without loss.
Yeah. 7 game without a loss. I think we've got 1 draw in there, or a few draws. So, you know, 2 teams that are banging form. Newcastle are having a fantastic season. They are absolutely flying. They're coming on the back of 2 away victories as well. So this ends their 3-game away little run that they've had. So, you know, what they've achieved in their last 2 games to win 2 away games, rocking up at Villa Park. You know, they're not going to have it their own way, I don't think, at Villa Park. And I've said it before on this channel that I don't think many teams would want to play Villa at the minute. So where do you feel this game's going to be won and lost?
The game is going to be won and lost in the top end of the pitch. And I think what I mean by that is if you look at Newcastle's defence, absolutely incredible. 21 goals they've conceded this season. It's an absolute joke, like how they have this incredible defensive record. We're a team who, by and large, probably create 2/3 chances a game now. Right, we are a team that I've been breaking down our shots on target. We don't surpass more than 5 shots on target. The only fluke one was Bournemouth, where we absolutely peppered them. Right, but if you break down the last 4 or 5 games, it's been 3 shots on target, 4 shots, five. It's literally, and dare I say the cliche, we've got to take our chance or two or one of two chances that we may get against Newcastle. And then again, their end of the pitch, have they got that firepower? Does he go Wilson or Isak? Does he go both? I think it's a bit of a headache for him. And I just think everything else, our defence, the midfield, I think, it runs itself, but it's that top end, breaking down 2 very good defensives, because again, we've got to credit our defence under Unai Emery, how limited we are. Which person is going to create that magic to create a clear-cut chance? And that's where I see it as, the old cliche in that sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. It depends on what they're going to go with. Saint Maxim is going to be out for this game as well, so he was absolutely flying at the London Stadium. So he's out for this game as well. So let's have a look at some of the stats then, some of the tail of the game then. So of what's been happening in recent years, head-to-head record. We've got 9 home wins. They've got 8 away victories at Villa Park. The recent run, we've beat them in the last 2 home games, 2-0 on both occasions. That is the form. 2 sides massively in form. I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at the Villa side of thing, you're just like, it's mad to be fair, but yeah, mental. This is them this season, and look at that loss column. Newcastle have only lost 3 games all season, and Villa have lost 11. So I think that tells you a lot about where we could have been if we hadn't have had a bit of a mare at the start of the season. And Newcastle have done fantastically well this season. So this is the danger creation over the course of the whole season for Newcastle United. And it predominantly comes down the right-hand side. Trippier is on the right-hand side as well. So I think that tells a bit of a tale of where they've been attacking in their danger zone. I mean, it is the darkest colour it could be on that bottom end of that right-hand side. So, and this is their danger conceded. So as you can see on their right-hand side where Dan Burn is, where I'd like to highlight where I think we need to do some damage on that right-hand side. And this is how they're lined up against Brentford, I think. And this is one of my bugbears in football, when these stats get it slightly wrong and they put players in the wrong position. You need to swap Joelinton with Joe Willock. Joelinton makes up that midfield 3. So that was their formation against Brentford.
Yeah.
And this was their average positions as well. So you can see number 7 is Joelinton, number 39 is Gomes. Very compact, but they do like to spread the width of the pitch as well. So I think we've got to work on containing that as well. And then you can see the passing network against Brentford as well. So you can see that the dark line, pretty much what we were seeing from the expected threat going down the right-hand side. You can see the Shah to Trippier into Gomes. That is the triangle which they like to work a lot. So we really need to stop that triangle from working. And I think you can see that everything pretty much goes through Gomes. Do you want to add anything on that, Josh?
Yeah, and again, it's interesting because when he, you get so distracted by Bruno Guimaraes that you think about Joelinton popping up. And then all of a sudden, bloody Longstaff for them sort of looks like a rebirth. For me, like a year ago, that bloke, I was like, he's going to be in the Championship for the rest of his career. Like, but he's had a rebirth, and it's our classic, really. That traditionally we obviously play a bit of a 4-4 4-4-2 out of possession. But I think we'll see more than ever, Luke, this weekend. I think we'll see that 6-3-1, 6-3-1 shape. I think we'll literally congest those wide areas. You will see probably Ramsey and Buendia play fullback, as we did against Spurs. Now, I think that's the way to beat these lot. As you've shown with those danger maps, we've got to stop Trippier. We've got to stop that wide area, congest that, get our best defenders defending the width of the box to stop Bruno and Joe Linton, get McGinn, Louise really tight in there. And I think we can suffocate them and hit them on the break. And especially the way, if you look at those average positions in the previous one and that pass network, is that think how high, the fullbacks go, Luke, for them. Look how high Dan Burn and Trippier are, right? And I know you've got Botman and Shah having to defend deeper, but I fancy Watkins running in those channels in behind Burn and Trippier. I really, really do fancy it, and I do wonder if we get that 6 at the back shape, we hit into those diags, into those corners, because that is a massive between Burn and number 4. Which I guess is, I think that's Botman, isn't it? That is a huge space. Yeah. That is a huge space. And I wonder again if we allow that sort of that space in there, because I respect that Newcastle have this real attacking dynamism. I respect that they want to push their fullbacks on. It's something that maybe under Steven Gerrard we wanted. We wanted our fullbacks to be doing that. But, in retrospect, it's massive for me that we get into these positions through our defensive shape. If our defensive organisation is spot on, if we have our wits about us in defending that 6-3-1, then I think we'll hurt these real bad on the counter. I really, really do. And, as you're sort of drawing there, a little box, which is going to be key, those little pockets where you win the ball back and then you turn it over. So that's key for me. That I think you've probably seen that as well, the way the fullbacks push on, win it back, put it in those areas as quick as you can, and Watkins will destroy them.
Yeah, and I think this little diagram that I've butchered on screen now, this is where I think we can hurt them as well, because we do play this box midfield. So the two here you would say would be, and I do think Dendonka's coming in for this. We'll get onto that in a minute. So Dendonka, Dougie Luiz, the box midfield of McGinn and Ramsey. I think that area there, if we can get runners through this area and have 4 in midfield, we can really hurt Newcastle United. I honestly think that's going to be an area we can really hurt them. But, I have just mentioned his name, Dendonka. I think with the physicality of Newcastle United, Joe Linton, Longstaff, Gomeres, it's so physical. Dan Burns' height, Botman's height, Isak's height. Their team is so big, right? I think we really do need that little bit of physicality. And I think McGinn will be wasted if he's playing in that double pivot. I'd like to see Dendonka, Luiz, and McGinn further forward having that energy, because McGinn can come back, help out Villa. He's never just going to stay in one position, but I really do think we need that little bit of height as well. And I think for me, I'd love to see, McPhee working this week on short corners, because I don't really want to see any balls just being pummeled into that box, because Burn and co, they'll lap it up for fun, won't they?
I would just like to see McPhee do some work. Do you know what I mean? It would be good for them to do something, wouldn't it? But no, you're right. And like Gary Neville made the point, didn't he, on Sky a couple of weeks ago, where Newcastle beat Man United, and Ten Hag took off Varane, Weghorst, McTominay, basically the height of the team. And they got punished by that the set piece Kieran Trippier free kick. And Nev said, as soon as he saw that height go off, he feared them. So I get your point. And actually, the more I think about it, you can literally play that sort of in possession, the 4-4-2. You could put McGinn right mid and Ramsey left mid, whatever way around you want to do it, with Dendonka and Luiz, and then Buendia and Watkins up front. And then out of possession, you just literally drop. Then you just have that back 6 with the Donk, Luiz and McGinn in front, and then Watkins by himself. So it does work. I actually think that's a really good point you made, because Traore, as much as the fairy tale is with him and his rebirth, if we're being really honest, I know he's a bit tall. You could argue he is a bit taller, but he doesn't you don't really notice him in a game until
No.
you give him the ball. He's sort of he's just there, isn't he? But he's just had two magic moments, and I think you're right that actually we need to be a bit more clever and strategic here, and probably something that Unai is very aware of, because Newcastle score set pieces for fun. I mean, Trippier's had dare I say it, I know it's 7-8 assists this season, all from set pieces. So that's another thing, Luke. We cannot, we saw Wrexham do it yesterday, give away a stupid set piece. You cannot give away stupid free kicks against Newcastle. They will kill it. They will hurt us. They will hurt us.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point about Traore. I've said it numerous times since the weekend that I need to see more from him. And if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think this is the game for Traore. I think him and Bailey especially, you have moments in the game where they just disappear. They just evaporate. And because this game is going to be so difficult and so physical and aggressive, and I think it's going to be a tight one. I really think it's going to be a tight one. I think it's going to ebb and flow. I think both sides are going to have periods in the game where they're on top a little bit and then it'll go back. Momentum will go to another team. I really think it'll be that type of game. And we can't have 10 men on the pitch. Like, everybody has got to be bang at it for Villa. And I mentioned Ramsey. I'll mention Buendia as well. We really need to see Ramsey getting on that ball, progressive carries, driving forward. We need to see Buendia popping up in areas, just through balls, and we really need a team performance. And I kind of am expecting Emery to treat this a little bit like a one-off game. I've got a funny feeling, like I've mentioned about the Dendonka, that he's going to look at this as like a cup game, and just something totally different. It'll be really intense. That's how I see it going, because you look at the fixtures after this, they're all right. This feels like a big game, doesn't it? So,
but that's what he's the master at. That's where he's won all his European Cups, these one-off or even double aggregate ties, and he knows what he's doing with that. And yeah, I agree on Ramsey as well. I mean, JJ, he seems frustrated at the moment on the ball. I don't question his work rate. I question at the moment just his confidence to unlock a defence, make something happen, which is what we really need. But I was just thinking about Trippier and Dan Burn, actually. They're used to coming up against wingers, right? So you talk about the Traores and Baileys. Well, actually, they for whatever mad reason, Dan Burn seems to be able to handle any winger in the league that tries to run past him with pace. It'd be interesting to try and see maybe him try and play against John McGinn, who's not going to be hugging that touchline, who's going to be more central, who's going to be a bit deeper, and whether Dan Burn trusts himself to go in those areas and again exploit him, because he's made people like Mo Salah, Darren Traore look stupid this season. Dan Burn, you think, how is this bloke who's 6'3" playing left back look completely out of position but matching every winger? So it actually might come into our favour as well that we don't play proper out and out wingers, because Bailey and Traore would just stand out there waiting for the ball, not, as you said, evaporate almost, and Burn's got an easy field day. So yeah, be interesting that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting what they do striker wise, but we got a man in form up front, haven't we, as well? And this is what I'm saying about no team will really want to play Aston Villa, will they? So it's how they deal with Ollie Watkins as well, because he's banging form, isn't he? So it is going to be a really interesting one. I am a bit nervous about it already. I am a little bit nervous because it is going to be a tough game. But, we're in this position that we're in now. We've really got to try and just embrace it and just enjoy it, because we are going for Europe. Whatever way you want to look at it, we are in a position to get into Europe. So it's a big game, and we've done well to get in this position. So now let's see if we can do it. So let's go with our score predictions then. I do think it's going to ebb and flow. I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go 2-2. What are you going with?
Oh, see, I had a draw in my head as well. I think 1-1. I think we cancel each other out. Do you know what as well? Hate to say this. I think we'll be 1-0 up for a long time.
Do you?
And I think so. I think we might even get a real early goal. And I think Newcastle might sucker punch us at the end and it will hurt. But I just think it'll be a great game, a great performance. 1-1, by the way, against a team who have only conceded 21 goals, who are on this incredible run and who are in third place. I think no Villa fan should be annoyed about getting a point against Newcastle. A win's a bonus. A win feels amazing. But a draw is really respectable, and you have to put perspective on who we're playing.
Definitely right. So we'll be back with predicted lineup, press conference, and then all of our weekends action, fan cams, etc. as well. So thanks for coming on, mate. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.